Good afternoon. How's it going out there? My name is Mark Binder. I'm a writer and a storyteller. It's a real pleasure to be here with you on this beautiful day. I don't know what the weather's like where you are. Here in Providence, Rhode Island, it's kind of gray and cool, which is not bad for a day in May. Today, I'm feeling a little bit out of sorts. And the main reason is this. I would love to be out there live performing and telling stories. And instead, I am in my upgraded studio. If you've been here the last few weeks, you'll see that we've made a few changes, made it a little bit brighter, a little bit nicer. But still, the problem is I don't actually get to talk to you directly. I don't get to hear from you directly. I don't even know who you are. Hi, Mom. Chances are she's watching too. So that's the part that kind of bums me out a little bit about what's going on in the world. On the other hand, this is an opportunity for me to say hello and to show you some of my stuff and introduce you to things that you might not otherwise find out about. So I wanted to start. I found this a few years back. So every year the nation has a summer reading program. Young people, and you know who you are, often stop reading during the summertime. Now, I understand. There's a lot to do outside, and I love to play outside and run outside and swim outside and bike outside and do all sorts of things outside. But I also always make sure I take a book with me because you never know when you're going to be sitting around waiting for your parents to do something. And you just sit. Now, you may have a phone. A lot of people have phones these days, and those phones are what I call distraction machines. The distraction machine basically keeps you distracted. It's really easy to find something interesting to do on your distraction machine. The problem is that it doesn't really build some of the brain muscles that you guys can use in the later years. Now, I know this is like totally not motivational to a young kid going, I don't want to use my brain. It's summertime. I don't have to. So what we've been doing is we came up with a summer reading book that you can actually put on your phone. And then you'll have it with you so that when you have those moments, you can pick up and you can read it anywhere. It's also got some audio stories. And the name of the book is called Every Hero Has a Story. You can see this is the desk copy. This book came out a few years ago. It's been out of print. We're bringing back the ebook edition. So it'll be coming out in June. If you want to reserve a copy, you go to markbinder.com/summer and use the discount code that's on there. And you can get a copy. I think it's like $2 to download it and to enjoy it. And then I will be coming to some libraries virtually this summer. And if I'm coming to your library or to your camp, make sure you drop me an email and say hi. Because it's really challenging for all of us to not connect. One of the things that's really great about reading is sort of like it's from my brain through my typewriter into your brain. Storytelling is different. When I tell a story, the story lives in the air and it gets heard by your brain. But when it's live, it's a different experience than watching something like this on your computer or your laptop or your iPad or your phone, whatever you're watching me on, because there's all these distractions around you. I mean, look around. There's other people. There's the whole world out there. When we are in a room together, in a library or a school or a camp or sitting outside around a campfire, and I'm telling a story, what happens is the rest of the world vanishes. And all that's left is the story. And to some extent, that's the story of Every Hero Has a Story. So I thought I would read a little bit from this book and share it with you. So this book, as I'll show you the table of contents. I don't know if, let's see how this works. This is the new web camera. I don't know if you can see that. All right. It says here, this is part of the dedication. With a deep appreciation for all my readers and listeners, without you, I'd be talking to myself. which is a little bit what this video feels like to me. I'm new at the whole YouTube video thing. All right, let's go straight to the story. Once upon a time, the prince and the princess were traveling home from a visit with their grandparents. It was a dark afternoon. The storm clouds had come in rather suddenly, and when the rain finally came with a great thunderclap, it was no surprise. Sheets of rain battered the roof of their compartment. The glass windows quickly fogged as the temperature outside grew cold. "It's frightening out there," said the princess. She wasn't really afraid, just making conversation, breaking the silence with her brother. He nodded and shrugged, stared into the distance. He didn't have much to say. His tutors said he was thoughtless and carefree, but he knew that it was exactly the opposite. His mind was wandering, imagining battles and sword fights, courtroom intrigues and gunplay. In each short scene he was the hero, saving the day, rescuing the maiden, thwarting the prime minister's sinister plots, or slaying a dragon. The princess smiled and patted her brother's knee. She never knew whether he was her friend or not. Her tutors said that she was studious and careful, but she knew it was the exact opposite. She studied because everyone expected her to, and no one wanted to discuss real and important things with her. She felt that if she could only learn enough, she would be able to connect with anyone on any subject. She saw herself drinking tea and eating pastries with kings and queens and presidents from faraway countries, having dinners with prime ministers and bank managers, enjoying brushes with shop girls and factory floor stewards. A thought occurred to her, and she briefly wondered why no one had ever thought to teach her how to cook. Suddenly, the compartment shook. "What's that?" What's that? The princess asked. "Nothing," the prince shrugged. There was another jolt, and then the entire vehicle began to float and drift to one side. Their driver was furious with himself. He hadn't realized that the weather was going to get so bad so quickly. The road to the capital city twisted and turned, rose and fell through the foothills. At the trough of a deep gully, the flash flood had caught them, and now everything was spinning out of control. Water started to flow into the vehicle. The prince blinked and began to pay attention. "Here, here," he shouted, banging on the driver's window. "What's going on?" The driver did not answer. He was struggling to regain control, but the water was rising too quickly to manage. "Do you think everything will be all right?" the princess asked. "Get out!" the driver shouted. The prince and the princess were good swimmers. They might be washed away, but they would not drown. He wasn't sure that this was the right thing, but he knew that if his young charges were trapped inside the vehicle, they might not be able to escape later. "Come on!" the prince shouted at his sister. Now water was pouring in through the doors and the windows. Soon there would be little air left in the compartment. The princess banged on the driver's window. "Are you going to be all right?" But there was no answer. Her brother had opened the door. He pulled at her, and reluctantly she came with him. A flash flood happens when a huge amount of sudden rain or runoff gathers and collects at a narrow and low point in the landscape. It's like an instant ocean wave or a river of rapids flowing over a previously dry patch of land. Outside the royal vehicle, the world was a wet and chaotic swirl of rain and mud and water and debris, of sticks and twigs and leaves and even small animals. Still, the princess was mindful enough to hold on to his sister. Once, as they spun and twirled, she slipped from his grasp, but she managed to catch hold of his belt and gave him a push upwards because he had been flipped over and had begun swimming down. A moment later, their heads broke the surface, and a moment after that, the water was gone, and they found themselves soaking wet, sitting on the side of the road. "Do you know where we are?" the princess shouted. The rain was still falling hard, but beginning to lessen as the storm and floodwaters passed. "I'm not the expert in geography," the prince snapped back. In his thoughts, he was cursing himself for not having paid better attention in class. "No need to be snippy," the princess said. "Do you think our driver made it out?" The prince frowned. "We have to take care of ourselves now. Worry about him later." "We won't be able to help him later," the princess said. She was beginning to cry. The prince and the princess were twins. Even though she was 10 minutes older than him, he felt that he was responsible. He needed to be in charge. The prince scanned the area. "Do you see anything? Anywhere?" The rain was still loud. "I don't. The best thing we can do is to get ourselves to safety and find help. Come on." He stood and tried to brush away some of the mud off his trousers, but they were soaked and filthy, and the gesture was empty. He reached his hand out for his sisters. The princess also stood. She turned slowly, looking in all directions for any sign of their vehicle or driver. At last she sighed, took her brother's hand, and they began, setting off, up the hill and out of the gully. Their shoes squished as they walked. The prince and the princess find refuge. It might have been 5 minutes. It might have been 10. Just before a bend, but where the road veered off to the left, was another road, perhaps a driveway, barely visible in the dimming light as the afternoon faded and darkness grew. "Which way should we go?" asked the princess. "I don't know," said the prince, frustrated with himself. He had never noted the landmarks on the ride home, at least not until they came to the statue in honor of the fallen on the outskirts of the city. He should have paid attention. They had gotten so turned around during their unexpected swim. The capital city could be forwards or even backwards. "Let's go up this driveway," the princess said. "Maybe there's a house." Her voice was quieter now. The rain was hard but steady, no longer pounding down on their heads. "I don't think we should," the prince answered. "If we stay on the road, someone is bound to come along." But truthfully, he wasn't sure. No one had gone past, and if the rains were this bad, no one was likely. If their driver had been badly injured or killed, he couldn't have called for help, and no one would yet know that they were missing. "If we go on, we might find help," the princess said. "Let's." "All right," he finally agreed. "But if we find someone, let me do the talking." "Why you?" the princess said with a laugh. The prince ignored her and stormed off ahead. A flash of lightning and a crack of thunder came in rapid succession, brightening the countryside with an instant glare that left an after-image tingling in their eyes. A tree crashed not far away. "I see a building," the princess said. "We'd better hurry if we don't want to be electrocuted," said the prince, taking off at a run. The princess paused to take off her shoes and then ran. She caught up with her brother just as he stopped in front of an open door. She banged into him, and they both fell inside. "Well, well," said a woman's voice. "Look what the rain's brought." "2 children," said another voice, a man's. "They're soaked. Come over here, by the fire." The prince and princess stood up awkwardly and took in the scene. They were just inside a large structure with a packed dirt floor, a barn of some kind. It was old, but still somewhat sound. Rain poured in from several holes in the roof, but most of the dirt floor wasn't quite dry, but most of the dirt floor was quite dry and even a little dusty. A small bonfire lit the middle of the barn. Seated well away from the ancient timber walls, the smoke from the fire rose to the ceiling and floated out through the nearest hole, which was sensibly enough not directly over the fire pit. The prince and the princess were embarrassed. Their eyes were still getting adjusted to the light. Around the fire was a gathering of men and women, none of whom looked as if they would be comfortable dining at a royal dinner banquet. It was hard to tell how many there were. They were old and dirty and looked rather poor. Their faces were dimly lit, but their eyes were bright. "Who do we have here?" said a dark-skinned man with a Van Dyke beard and a mustache. His eyes were glittering brown, and his grin was wide. "What are your names, children?" asked the light-skinned woman next to him. She had a long frizz of hair that shot wildly in all directions. The prince was instantly wary. He felt in his pockets for the knife that he always kept there, but it seemed to have been washed away in the flood. He resented being called a child, but decided that correcting the speaker, whoever she was something that could be handled later. The princess was about to curtsy and introduce herself when a sudden touch of her brother's hand stopped her. "Maybe we should go," the prince said softly. "Nonsense," said another voice, a deep, old man's kind voice. "Never mind who you are, or where you've come from, or why you're here. That's the rule. If it's true for us, it's true for them." It's getting dark and bucketing down rain out there. It's dry in here. Come over here by the fire and get yourselves warm." The princess looked at her brother. "He's right, you know. It's very cold out there." She was starting to shiver. The prince nodded, but through a clenched smile, whispered to his sister, "Stay on this side of the fire. If I shout to run, don't wait. Run." She squeezed his hand. "All right." The fire was warm. It shot sparks and threw out heat. Its flames were red and bright and yellow and blue, all flashing and intertwined. Circling around the fire pit were logs and boulders and bales of hay, and even an old rocking chair. Inside the circle, sitting on these logs and boulders and bales of hay, were a dozen men and women of all shapes and sizes and colors. The man in the rocker was clearly in charge. He had a long and old face, heavy with wrinkles. He had been the one who had spoken most kindly to the prince and the princess. Because of the flickering light and the irregular smoke, it was difficult to tell who was younger and who was older, or even what the true shades of their skin were. They were a mixed lot of light and dark, thin and fat. The woman with the frizzed hair passed the prince a jar. He looked at it and tried to refuse, but she smiled and took a drink first. "It's just water," she said kindly, "gathered from the rain." The princess took it from her and said, "Thank you very much." She sipped and passed it to her brother. The water tasted clear and good. Soaked and drenched, they hadn't realized how thirsty they were. At last, when the jar was emptied and filled and half emptied again, they stopped. So they sat on the log with their backs to the door, listening to the rain, and warmed themselves as the evening fled and the darkness of night deepened. "So have yer a story?" a harsh man's voice from the other side of the flame suddenly demanded. He sounded gruff and looked gruff. His face was poorly shaved. He had dark reddish hair and dim eyes, and was dressed all in black. The prince and the princess blinked. They wanted to say who they were and that they were lost, but they weren't sure this was a good idea. 1,000 questions went through their minds. Where were they? Who were these people? Could anyone help? They were frightened to ask. Both the prince and the princess knew that while most people are kind and friendly, there are some who can be dangerous, and they dared not show themselves to be frightened or weak. Now, said the old man in the rocking chair, "never mind who you are or where you've come from or why you're here. That's the rule. It's true for us, and it's true for them, too." The prince was tired and frightened. It was hard to keep track of everyone. The mood in the barn was shifting. Everyone was growing fidgety and restless. He was just getting ready to reach for his sister's hand, getting ready to tell her to run. Yes, they were comfortable now. Yes, they were warm, but little good it would do them if they were kidnapped, or worse. "It's time, don't you think?" said the red-haired man dressed in black. "A story, then," agreed the old man in the rocker. "That's the idea, eh? Let's get to what we came here to do. A story for a story for a story. Who knows one, and we'll pass the time." There was a moment's silence, and then another, and then another. The prince felt his shoulders beginning to tighten. He was just about to shout when a young man's soft voice began. And that's when the stories start. And I thought about, so the next story that comes up is Giant Killer Jack, which is my version of the Jack and the Beanstalk story. And I don't think I'm going to tell you that one. I want to try a different one. I am going to tell you this story. This book, I really like this book, but I also found, I don't know if this story works written down. So I'm going to actually perform it for you rather than read it. And if you download the book on the markbinder.com/summer, the audio is also there from my Transmit Joy audiobook. All right. The voice continued softly as the bread and cheese went around. Who was it who figured out how to grind seeds into flour, mix them with water, set them aside to catch wild yeast, and then bake it all in the oven? Who first thought it was a good idea to eat that smelly, solid glob of congealed goat's milk? Over the years, and with almost no research, I have discovered that many of our customs and habits and ideas originated in ancient times with a caveman named Og. You want know from where come first story? You want know from where come first story? First story come from Og, caveman, huh? Og live in a cave, yeah, with dog, Woof, and wife, Marcia. Hi, I'm Marcia. Og, great hunter. Og hunt all kind of thing. Og, if you're such a great hunter, how come you never got me an elephant? Oh, Marcia, Og hunt all kind of thing. Og hunt lion and tiger and bear. Oh, my. And all sorts of things like rabbit and goat and... Og, I don't want goat or rabbit. I'm sick of goat and rabbit. I want to try an elephant. Elephant very hard to catch, Marcia. I know, Og, but I really want an elephant. Okay, today, Og, great hunter, going to get elephant. So Og takes spear. Og go out. Og takes spear. Og hunting. Og looking. Og walking through tall grass. Og see something moving. Get closer. Meow. Meow. Oh, kitty cat. Too small. Og go hunting. Og go through taller grass. Og see something moving. Psst. Ah, snake. Og hates snake. Og go hunting. Og go through taller grass. Og see elephant. Og go up to throw spear at elephant. Og trip. Og fall. Hit head on rock. Pass out cold. Og wake up. Elephant gone. No more elephant. What Og do? What Og tell Marcia? Og go down by ocean. Sit on rock. Watch wave come in, wave come out, wave come in, wave come out. Og start pick up rock, throw out to sea, wave come in, wave come out. Og pick up. I'll collect and put in bag. I'll get spear. I'll go back. Marcia. I'll have great thing. I'll catch great thing. What do you mean, Og? Og, greatest hunter ever. Yeah? If you're such a great hunter, where's the elephant? Oh, I'll get something even better than elephant. What'd you get? I'll get story. Story? What's a story? Listen, Marcia, sit, Og tell. Og, great hunter. Og go hunting. Og go through tall grass. Og see roar lion. Oh no, Og, what did you do? Too small. Og chase away. Og go through taller grass. Og see snake. Oh no, Og, you're terrified of snakes. Not this time, Marcia. Og pick up snake, throw snake around. Bye-bye, snake. Oh wow, what did you next? Og go hunting. Og take spear. Og see elephant. Og get closer. Elephant face other way. Og take spear. Og throw spear. Spear fly. Spear hit elephant. Spear bounce off elephant. Oh no, Og, what happened? Elephant turn. Start run at Og. Og run at elephant. Elephant run. Og run. Og run. Elephant run. Oh no, Og, what'd you do? Og jump on elephant back. Hold elephant ear. Ride elephant. Wow, that's amazing. Was amazing. But elephant roll over. Try crush Og. Climb on Og back. Oh no, Og, really? No, not really. Og run from elephant. Elephant chase. Og run. Elephant chase. Og run. Elephant chase. What did you do? Og see cliff. Elephant. Cliff. Elephant. Oh no, Og, what did you do? Og duck. Elephant run right over Og. Fall off cliff. No more elephant. Sorry, Marcia. Wow. Wow. That was amazing, Hog. That was Wait a second. Why didn't you just go down to the bottom of the cliff and get some dead elephant meat? Elephant, go over cliff, over ocean, elephant, fall in ocean, elephant, swim away. Elephant, good swimmer. Oh, well, what are we going to have for dinner then? Oh, I'll down by ocean, collect all these, clam thing, eat them. Tastes like a salty snot. And that story, how Og, great hunter, be first person tell story, and first person eat shellfish. The end. I want to thank you guys for listening. My name is Mark Binder. It's been a real pleasure sharing my work with you this morning. I hope that you'll, I think we may be pausing this, so check in. We may do this again next Friday. We may not. As the weather starts to get good, I don't imagine that people are going to want to be inside watching at 1 o'clock on a Friday, but you never know. Drop me an email. Let me know if you enjoyed this. Send it to mark@markbinderbooks.com. You can visit me at markbinderbooks.com or markbinder.com. The Every Hero Has a Story is available at markbinder.com/summer. And I want to thank you guys again. Take care and have an excellent, excellent day.